My name is Margaret, and I just turned 14 when my life suddenly changed. Let me tell you about my family. On the outside, we looked like a normal family. My dad worked hard, and my mom stayed at home. I had a little sister named Ashley, and she was 4 to 9 years younger than me. Dad was the manager of a big store that belonged to my mom's mom, my grandmother. Grandma was a strong and busy woman. She started with some laundromats and later began making soaps and cleaning products. When she retired, she offered the business to my mom, but Mom didn't want it. So Dad took over instead. That's when things started to go wrong. I remember the day everything changed. I was in my room trying to do homework when I heard my mom yelling at Dad downstairs. "You're nothing but a loser, Dennis. This is my house and my family's business. You should be thankful I let you run it." After that, things just got worse. Mom and Dad stopped talking unless they were fighting. I tried to keep Ashley busy so she wouldn't notice, but even she knew something was wrong. Then one day, everything changed for good. I came home from school and saw Dad in the living room with a suitcase.
"Dad,"
I said, my voice shaking. "What's going on?" He came over and gave me a tight hug. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I can't stay here anymore. It's not good for anyone." I felt like I couldn't breathe. But what about Ashley? What about me? He pulled back and looked at me with watery eyes. "I love you both so much. Never forget that. But sometimes love isn't enough." He kissed my forehead and then went to Ashley. She was standing there looking confused. He knelt down and hugged her. "Be good for your big sister, okay, pumpkin?" Then he left. The door shut behind him, and it felt like everything went quiet. Mom came home an hour later. When I told Mom that Dad had left, she didn't seem surprised. She just nodded like she already knew it was coming. "Good riddance," she muttered. "Mom,"
I said.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "How can you say that?" She turned to me, her face cold. "Your father cheated on me, Margaret. More than once." I couldn't take it anymore. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard Mom talking on the phone in her room. She was laughing and sounded happier than she had in a long time. I wondered who she was talking to, but I was too tired to care. Just when I thought things couldn't get more confusing, Mom dropped another surprise on us. One morning at breakfast, she said, "I have some news. I'm getting married." I almost choked on my cereal.
"What?"
"Mom, Dad's only been gone 3 months." She waved her hand like it didn't matter. "Sometimes true love shows up when you don't expect it, Margaret. You'll understand one day." A week later, Randy moved in. He was okay, I guess, tall and good-looking in that way people call nice. But something about him didn't sit right with me from the start. He tried with Ashley. He played games with her and helped her with homework. But with me, it was like I didn't exist. Things were changing at the company, too. After Dad left, Mom took over and brought Randy to work with her. They seemed like a strong team, always whispering about business plans. I tried to focus on school, friends, and normal teenage stuff. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was fading away in my own home. Then it all came crashing down. One evening, Mom said, "We're moving. It's a great chance to grow the business." I was still trying to process that when she added, "Randy and I have talked. We think it's best if you stay here." I couldn't believe it. "Stay here? Without you?" I asked, shocked. Mom spoke quickly, like she was trying to explain everything at once. "It's just the new house won't have much space. And you're almost done with school. It wouldn't make sense to switch schools now, right before your exams." It felt like I got punched in the stomach. "So, where am I supposed to live? On the street?" "Don't be so dramatic, Margaret," Mom said sharply. "You'll stay with your grandmother. She's already said yes." I stormed off to my room and slammed the door. I threw myself onto the bed, tears of anger and sadness running down my face. When did I become a problem to my own mom? I thought. The next few weeks passed in a blur. Boxes everywhere. Goodbyes. Most of the tears were Ashley's. She didn't want to leave her friends. I helped her pack and tried to stay strong for her. "Will you come visit us, Lizzie?" she asked, her big brown eyes full of tears. I hugged her tight. "Of course I will, Squirt. You're stuck with me." The day they left, I stood on the porch with Grandma. We watched the moving van drive off. Mom gave me a quick hug. Randy just nodded. And then they were gone, taking Ashley with them. Living with Grandma wasn't as bad as I'd feared. She was actually kind of cool. She gave me space when I needed it and was always there with a cup of tea when I wanted to talk. But it still didn't feel like home. My 15th birthday came faster than I thought. That morning, I woke up feeling strange. I should have felt excited, but instead, I felt empty. Mom called, of course. "Happy birthday, sweetie," she said in a super cheerful voice. "Sorry we can't be there. Work is just crazy right now. We'll celebrate next month, okay?" I knew we wouldn't. They hadn't visited once since they moved. "Sure, Mom. Sounds great." Grandma must have noticed I wasn't feeling great because she went all out. She let me invite some friends, ordered my favorite food, and even baked me a cake. For a few hours, I almost felt happy. The next morning, I almost forgot about everything that had been going on until Grandma called me into her home office. She had that serious look on her face that made my stomach twist. "Sit down, Margaret," she said, pointing to the chair in front of her desk. "We need to talk." Oh no, I thought. She's going to kick me out. Where will I go? But then she smiled, reached into her desk drawer, and pulled out a small folder. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Open it." I opened it and almost dropped it when I saw what was inside. "Grandma, is this what I think it is?" She nodded, her eyes shining. "The company is yours now, Margaret. I believe in you. You're smart, and I know you'll take good care of the business." "But Mom and Randy are running it now," I said. Grandma's face turned serious. "They're running a branch. But the main company, the heart of it all, that's yours now." I just sat there, stunned. Me, barely 15, now the owner of a multi-million-dollar company. It felt unreal. Like a dream, or maybe a nightmare. "I don't know what to say," I whispered. Grandma reached across the desk and squeezed my hand. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me you'll give it your best." I nodded slowly, still in shock. "I will. I promise." She leaned back in her chair, looking pleased. "Good. Now I have one more piece of advice, and I need you to really listen." I leaned in, hanging on her every word. "Call your father. There's more to that story than you know. Talk to him. Maybe even take him on as a consultant. But most of all, just hear him out." It took me a whole week to build up the courage to call Dad. We agreed to meet at a small cafe downtown. When I saw him, my heart tightened. He looked older, tired, but when he saw me, his eyes lit up. There was a quiet moment between us. Then all at once I started talking. I told him everything about the divorce, Mom's new marriage, the move, and Grandma's gift. He listened quietly, his face full of mixed emotions. When I finished, he took a deep breath. "Lizzie, there's something you should know about the divorce." Then he told me everything. How Mom had never respected him. How she always criticized him and made him feel useless. How after one really bad fight, he got drunk and made the biggest mistake of his life. "I cheated on her," he said quietly, his voice full of guilt. "Just once. I regretted it right away," Dad said. "But your mother used it against me. She threatened to take everything. She said I had to leave, give her all the property, and give up both of you. She even asked for money from me after the divorce." I just sat there, shocked. This didn't sound like the Mom I thought I knew. "Why didn't you fight back?" I asked. Dad looked at me, his eyes full of sadness, but also love. "Because of you and Ashley. I didn't want you two caught in a big, ugly court fight. I thought staying quiet would make it easier for everyone." As we talked, it felt like a heavy weight was being lifted off my chest. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I had my dad back. Before we said goodbye, I took a deep breath and asked, "Dad, how would you feel about helping me with the company? As a consultant?" The big smile on his face said it all. The next few months flew by. I was buried in studying, exams, and late-night cramming. Before I knew it, I was standing on stage at my high school graduation, holding my diploma. Grandma was in the crowd, smiling proudly. Mom and Randy weren't there, not that I expected them to be. When summer came, I threw myself into college applications. Grandma cheered me on the whole time, and Dad supported me from afar. I aimed high. Then the letters started coming in. I was shocked by how many schools accepted me. But the biggest surprise came when I opened the financial aid letter for my top choice school. A full ride? I whispered, staring at the paper in disbelief. Grandma jumped up and hugged me tight. I knew you could do it, kiddo. All those late nights and hard work paid off. I chose to major in business management. It felt like the right choice since I now had a company to run. The whole thing still felt a little unreal, but I was determined to make Grandma proud. To celebrate, Grandma insisted on a small party, just the two of us. We ordered fancy takeout and drank sparkling cider, no champagne. Grandma made sure of that, even though I was legally an adult now. We were halfway through dinner when the doorbell rang. Grandma looked confused. She clearly wasn't expecting anyone. "I'll get it," I said, putting down my fork. I opened the door, and my stomach sank. Standing there, looking annoyed and impatient, were Mom and Randy. Before I could say anything, they pushed past me into the house. Mom didn't waste time with greetings. "Mother," she said sharply, "we need to talk about the company. Now." I stood there, shocked, as Mom started yelling. She didn't even look at me. She didn't ask about my graduation or college. It was like I didn't exist. "Why can't we access the main accounts?" she demanded. "And why are you blocking money from being sent to our part of the business?" Grandma's eyes narrowed. "Because it's not your choice anymore, Emma," she said. "The company belongs to Margaret now. She's the one in charge of its future and the money." The room went completely quiet. You could feel the tension in the air. After Grandma said that, I saw so many emotions flash across Mom's face. First surprise, then anger, and finally something colder, like she was planning something. Suddenly, her whole attitude changed. "Margaret, sweetheart," she said, with a fake soft voice. "I've missed you so much. Why don't you come live with us?" I blinked, confused by how quickly she'd changed. She stepped closer and reached out like she was going to touch my arm. I stepped back without thinking. "We've settled in really well in the new city," she continued. "We have a lovely house and a room just for you. We can get you a new desk and computer for school and work." "No, Mom," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I'm happy here. I have my friends, my school, and Grandma needs me." Her smile faded for just a second, but then she kept pushing. "Well, if that's the problem, we could just move back here," she said. "We could live in our old house again, just like before. Wouldn't that be nice?" I shook my head. "It's not about the house, Mom. It's about everything." I saw her getting angry. She was trying to hide it, but I could tell. Before she could say anything else, I finally asked the question I'd been holding inside for months. "Mom, why did you really divorce Dad?" She froze, caught off guard. "Well, your father, he cheated on me. Many times. I couldn't take it anymore. He left us for another woman. He didn't even pay alimony." "That's not true," I said firmly. "Dad told me everything. It happened once, and only after you treated him badly for years. He didn't leave us, you made him leave. And he has been paying alimony." Mom's face twisted with rage. "How dare you? You ungrateful little brat. You have no right to question me or interfere in my life. Everything here is mine. I decide who stays and who goes." Grandma, who had been quietly watching the whole time, finally stepped in. Her voice was calm but strong, stronger than I'd ever heard before. "That's enough, Emma," she said. "You've clearly forgotten a few important things. This house, the company, they're mine, not yours. I gave the company to Margaret because I trust her judgment far more than I trust yours right now. I think it's time for you to leave." I stood there, feeling all kinds of emotions as Grandma firmly walked Mom and Randy out of the house. When the door closed behind them with a sharp click, it felt final. As I stood beside Grandma, a strange mix of sadness and relief came over me. I had lost something, the last bit of hope I had about my mom. But I had gained something too, clarity about my future and the comfort of knowing I wasn't facing it alone. What now? I asked, my voice muffled against Grandma's shoulder. She pulled back and gave me a soft smile.
Now?
Now we get back to celebrating your college acceptance. And tomorrow, we start planning for your future. Your real future. Not the one your mother tried to force on you. The morning after that awful scene with Mom and Randy, I woke up to voices downstairs. Curious, I quietly crept down and peeked into the living room. To my surprise, I saw Dad sitting on the couch, talking with Grandma. When I sat down with them, Grandma turned to me and explained why she had asked him to come over. I've been thinking about Ashley, she said. And your mother, well, I don't think she's in the best place to take care of her right now. I've suggested that your father try to get custody. Hope flared up in my chest. Really? Dad, are you going to do it? He ran a hand through his hair. He looked nervous but determined.
Yeah, he said.
I am. It's not going to be easy, but Ashley deserves better than what she's getting. I couldn't help it. I threw my arms around him.
Thank you, Dad.
As we pulled apart, Grandma cleared her throat.
There's more, she said.
I hired a private investigator to look into your mother and Randy's activities. The next few weeks passed in a blur. I started my college classes and threw myself into studying like never before. Dad came by often, and we worked on rebuilding our relationship. It felt good to have him back in my life. Then, about 4 weeks after that talk, Grandma called us both into the living room. Her face was serious. The investigator's report came in, she said without any build-up. And it's worse than we thought. She laid out the findings, and each one felt like a punch in the stomach. Mom had been cheating on Dad for years, long before the divorce. Her relationship with Randy had started while she was still married. There were hotel records, receipts for expensive gifts, all clear proof. But that wasn't the worst part. Randy is a con man, Grandma said, her voice cold and firm. He's done this before. He finds wealthy women, charms them, convinces them to move money around, and then disappears with it. I felt sick. So, when they wanted to move the company's money, I said. Grandma nodded.
Exactly.
Randy was planning to steal it and disappear. We all sat in silence, each of us lost in thought. Finally, Grandma spoke. We need to tell your mother the truth. Face to face. The meeting was set for the next day. Mom showed up at Grandma's house, looking annoyed and impatient. Her eyes widened when she saw Dad sitting there too. What followed was one of the hardest conversations I've ever experienced. Grandma laid everything out, proof of the affair, Randy's criminal past, and how he planned to steal from the company. I watched Mom's face closely, hoping she'd show guilt or regret. But all I saw was denial. This is ridiculous, she said, her voice shaking. Randy loves me. He would never do something like that. You're all just jealous because I'm happy. Dad tried to talk to her calmly. Emma, please. Look at the facts. Think about Ashley. Is this really the kind of man you want around our daughter? But Mom wouldn't listen. She stood up, her face red with anger. I don't have to hear this. Randy is a good man. I trust him completely. You're just trying to ruin everything. And with that, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. We sat there in silence again. But this time, I understood something important. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a long, difficult fight. But as I looked at Dad and Grandma, I knew I wasn't going to face it alone. The next few months were full of legal battles and emotional stress. With Grandma's help and her strong lawyer, Dad filed for custody of Ashley. I tried to focus on school, but it was hard not to get pulled into everything that was happening. When the day of the custody hearing came, I insisted on going. I needed to be there. It was tough. Mom's lawyer tried to make Dad look like a bad parent who had abandoned us. But our lawyer came prepared. He showed proof that Dad had always paid alimony, tried to stay in contact with us, and had a safe, stable home. Then came the biggest shock, the report from the private investigator. It showed Randy's history of scamming women and his plan to steal from the company. I watched Mom's face as it all came out. First, she looked shocked, then angry, then lost. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. When the judge finally made his decision, He gave full custody of Ashley to Dad. I felt a wave of relief. Ashley would be safe. But I also felt a deep sadness that things had come to this. As we left the courthouse, Ashley in Dad's arms, Mom walked up to us. "This isn't over," she said. She glared at us, her eyes full of anger. "This isn't over," she hissed. Grandma stepped between us. "Yes, Emma. It is. Go home." Things kept getting worse for Mom after that. The judge ordered her to pay child support to Dad for Ashley. That clearly shocked her. She had always expected to receive money, not have to pay it. I threw myself into my college work and learning more about the company. I tried to stay out of the drama, but I couldn't help feeling a little satisfied when I heard what happened next. Randy left her. He ran off with another woman, and with a big chunk of Mom's personal savings. One cool autumn evening, Dad called me. I could hear the tension in his voice. "Your mother showed up at my place today," he said. "She wanted to get back together. Said she made a mistake and wanted us to be a family again." My heart tightened. A small part of me, a childlike part, wanted him to say yes, to make everything the way it used to be. But deep down, I knew better. We all did. "I told her no," Dad said firmly. "I told her that ship sailed a long time ago, and I won't put you or Ashley through that again." I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was holding. "Good," I said, surprised by how strong my voice sounded. "You deserve better, Dad. We all do." There was a pause, and then Dad spoke again, this time with a smile in his voice. "When did you get so wise, Lizzie?" I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. "I learned from the best." After I hung up, I looked around my room at Grandma's house. My textbooks were open on the desk next to reports from the company. Photos of me, Dad, and Ashley were pinned to the bulletin board, smiling back at me. This wasn't the life I had imagined a year ago. It wasn't perfect. There were still problems to solve and things to learn. But it was real. And it was mine. I thought about Mom, now alone, after all the lies and manipulation. A part of me felt sorry for her. But more than anything, I felt like things had finally turned out the way they should. She had made her choices. Now she had to live with them. As for me, I had a loving family, a company to lead, and a future full of new possibilities. It wasn't the path I expected, but it was the start of something truly mine. I realized something important. Time moves fast when you're balancing college and running a big company. Before I knew it, I was already halfway through my degree, buried in textbooks and business reports. Weekdays were a blur of classes, studying, and late nights. But weekends? Weekends were special. Every Wednesday, I'd pack a bag and head to Dad's house. The moment I walked in, Ashley would run at me full speed, shouting, "Lizzie," and throw her arms around me. At 10, she was all long legs and endless energy. Dad would usually come out of the kitchen, wearing an apron and smiling. "Just in time for dinner," he'd say. Those weekends became my favorite part of the week. We'd eat together while Ashley talked nonstop about school. After she went to bed, Dad and I would stay up late, going over business plans and talking about the company. On Mondays, we'd go to Grandma's. She always cooked a big meal, roast chicken, apple pie, and the whole house smelled amazing. After lunch, we'd sit on the porch, just talking. "I always knew you had it in you, Margaret," Grandma would say, gently squeezing my hand. As graduation got closer, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Dad had kept his promise. He was doing a great job running the company while slowly teaching me everything I needed to know. One evening, he said, "I'm ready to hand it over to you whenever you're ready." I hugged him tightly.
Thank you, Dad.
For everything. Life still had its ups and downs. There were big decisions ahead and a company to run. But when I looked at Dad, Ashley, and Grandma, I felt strong. I knew that with them by my side, I could handle whatever came next.